One other important part of my strategy is watching the correlation across the market. As we see, the Nasdaq was this really, really crazy long move. It was a slow move, but it was a very long move. Let me pull this out just to make sure I don't miss it if the entry comes in. Um, this is a very long, strong. It's not very strong, but it's a very long move, right? So as this pullback comes in, is this a pullback or is this a reversal? I don't really know. One thing to look at is the time. Most of your reversals in the day are going to come between 9:40 and 10:30. That's most of them. Obviously, that's not a strict rule or anything like that. Like me and the market didn't have a conversation yesterday, and he told me that. But it's a good rule that you'll see most of them come around 9:40 to 10:30. That's where the big reversals come in. And then, there'll be reversals in the afternoon as well. But in the morning, that's when I see it a lot. You'll see the break of the 9:30, it'll be doing something, and then between 9:40 and 10:30, it does its reversal. So, I don't know. Right now, it just looks like a pullback, right? But when I look at correlation, S&P basically is it mimics the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq usually leads, and the S&P follows it. Usually, sometimes it leads, but usually it's a follower. Um, okay. Sorry, it looks like that trade might be coming in right now. Um, so the point is that if I felt like it's more likely going to be a buy, then I would be looking at one of the other ones that have a true reversal setup going on. Um, that's the way I would look at it. If I still consider it to be a sell, then I would stick with the Nasdaq because he did not have any reversal signals. I'm going to move this back over so I can show you what I mean by reversal signals. So here the Dow is pushing down and pushing down. He breaks lower here and then he now is up here and he closed above. So he created that. Let me go ahead and sell this real quick. Okay. Now, I got in here before the candle closed. If this candle comes back in, I'm still okay with that entry because we would have then had a poke lower and we had volume on the way down, so I'm comfortable with it. So we now have, let me pull this up so you can see clearly down here. So we have this guy right here that pushed up. So I can borrow his sugar, but I brought my own. See down here? So he had the higher volume, so he's got volume. So I could borrow it, but then I brought my own as well. So he has sugar, but I brought my own. Then when it comes up here, it pokes out of the top and then slams back down with higher increased volume. Okay, so now I have volume on my leg back down. I see that this guy pushes up again. There's no volume when he pushes up, and then when this guy comes back down, there's more volume. Even if he was just a poke, I'm still ready to go. I'm still just fine with that. So I got in with 5 contracts. I'm going to do it as a 55 point stop. And the reason being is I like to do 2 of the ATR with a minimum of 30 before pre-market, and then 100 if the market's already open. Um, so also a cool trick to predict, and I don't know why this works exactly. I have my little theories and whatnot. Gosh, I am just not doing well today. I like to have my perfect even numbers. Okay, there's my 55. So I have $550 risk on this trade. Now again, I'm doing this on my demo account, and the reason I'm doing it on my demo account is that the New York market is closed today on President's Day, so I don't have the potential of having an all-day running trade. So therefore, I won't take it on my trade because my trades are based on potential, and if my potential is hurt, then I shouldn't be taking the trade. That it's just that simple. Um, so that's where I'm at. So now I just sit and wait for it to go. And then what I'm going to want to do is I move this down to show about a 20th, so 1/5, and then that's about where I want to start adding, depending on the kind of mood that I'm in that day. And what I mean by that is that if I'm feeling reserved, if I'm feeling afraid of losing money or something like that, I'll let the market move to about 50% before I start adding anything. So I'll let it get to about 50% profit and then I'll start adding. If I'm feeling aggressive, I'll start adding at that level. So I'm going to go ahead and get down to the 1. I'm going to go ahead and I prefer to add if I can with entries, but whatever the case. And the 55 is going to be 220 points. So we're going to do a sell. It's going to be 220. Now, 1 contract isn't going to make a huge difference, right? it just won't make a huge difference um, on the trade overall. And what you're going to see though is you're going to see my average move down a little bit, and then you're going to see that I'm at 6 contracts then, right? Then I'm going to move down my stop loss to match that. Um, it's not. This isn't exactly what Tom Hugard talks about in his book, The Best Loser Wins, but it's a spin off of that. I will save that information for his book. So read that book though, and you'll see exactly what I'm basing it off of, and kind of I've interpreted it to fit my own strategy and that sort of thing. But it is loosely based off of what he's teaching, and and again, it's take information wherever you can get it, and then make it your own. Okay, and that's what he teaches as well. It's very important that you understand that part of it. So so yeah, so we hit that first one. So I like to get three on um, at a time. So I'm just going to move this down to match it so that now I've reduced some of the risk. So now I started out at $550 risk. Okay, let's see what my risk is actually at now. So now I'm at 6. So that's worth $12 a point. So let's see. Just get you an exact number here. Okay, so now I have $534 at risk. So you can see I've actually reduced my risk while also adding more contracts to it. Now here's the kicker. Sometimes I'll do this the opposite way, where that first one I'm going to add 2 and then I add 3 more. But my goal here is to get to 10 contracts. So the next one that I add on here, I'm doing this kind of backwards to what I like to do it as, but I'm also being very aggressive with my add-ons early like this. So um, so that last one's going to be 2. That gets me to 10, and then I relax a little bit. Then I say, okay, let me lock in some profits, and then I'll start adding again. So that's typically the way I do it. Is how I structure my trade. Now, as you can see, this could turn into kind of a disaster to where like I might get 100 points, and then it comes back and I lose $300. Okay, so that's the other important part about this is that there's times where I take one of these trades and it it is such a great trade and it moves really well and I get up to $1,000 and then I end up losing $300. That's hard to take. It hurts a lot. And this is part of again why you have to create your own strategy because you may not be able to suffer through that. It's a lot of pain. And so if you can't suffer through it, what you end up doing is you end up closing your trades too soon. So then that throws off your ratio to where for me, I'm going to lose a lot of trades. But when I win a trade, I'm going to make a lot of money. So if you can't live that way, you're going to do different things based on your emotions and you're going to ruin this process. Okay. Now when I say ruin this process, it's not that it's a bad process for you, or I mean for me, it's a bad process for you. You have to make your own process and what you can handle and the type of pain that you're best at. You may be better at watching a trade go without you. You may be able to handle that pain. I cannot. If the trade goes without me, I suffer severely. It's very, very bad in my mind, in my heart. I get very, very hard on myself if I miss a trade. Now, if you can be patient enough and you miss some trades, then you will probably be a better trader than me in the long run. I think that's a better way to be. But I'm an aggressive person. It's who I am, and I can't help it. And so I'm going to just follow what works for me. So I hope that makes sense. So we're just going to watch this guy and see how it develops. This might be a boring video. I might go ahead and just fast forward through this stuff, but let's see how this guy goes. One other thing is that when I'm in a trade and I'm trading, I'm going to talk to myself a lot. I'm going to try to coach myself through it. And one of the things that I found a very big correlation in is how you get better at athletics and how you get better at trading. The S&B Capital. I read a book from these guys. I don't follow them like on social media and go with any of their plans or anything like that. But I did read the book that they released about how they trade traders and stuff like that. And gosh, where was I going with that? One of the things that they do is they look for collegiate athletes when they're looking at different traders and who they're going to hire to go into their training process. That's one of their criteria is that they're looking for collegiate athletes. Let's also check real quick. So we now have 7 contracts on, so we have $14 a point times 37. So now we have $518. So do you see how I've set up my system so that as it moves, I increase my profit or I decrease my risk while also increasing my contracts. Now the problem with this is that I'm up to $300 basically, and I still have almost as much money on the board at risk as when I started. Okay, if this guy is a reversal and he wants to turn around, we are now entering that zone to where he's got a nice pullback. He's going to be ready to go. So this happens to me a lot to where I end up getting up $300 and then all of a sudden I'm down 500. So it's very hard to trade that way because you will be disappointed severely throughout the day. It will. There's going to be moments that are heartbreaking. I had one the other day that I exited because I maxed out on the day. I made $4,768. Not that anyone's counting, but um, when I did that, I exited the trade because I was at my max. It was the exact low of the market. If that wouldn't have happened, if I would have had a funded account and I didn't have a limit on how much I could make, it bounced back and I would have only walked away with $450. It would have been devastating if that thing would have bounced back. I was up, like I said, $4,768, but I would have ended up with $450 profit. It would have been excruciating. Um, but that's also why I love trading because I could be in a situation where I make $450 and I'm the world's biggest joke at the same time. It's wild. Anyways, SMB Capital says that one of their hiring criteria is that they want to see traders that have a collegiate background, and it's really quite brilliant because to become a, a superior athlete, you have to work through pain. So when you're going on a long run, I used to run like 50 to 70 miles a week. I'd do a marathon every Saturday. Like I got really big into running when I was trying to get better at trading. And the reason being is that this correlation of like in order to get good at running, you have to suffer. You have to be in pain and you have to push yourself through the pain. You have to say, I know your leg hurts, but that's just because you're running. That's not because there's something wrong with your leg, because your brain starts to go, there's something wrong with your leg, you got to stop running. Otherwise, you're going to hurt yourself forever. So you have to work through that. You have to get better at that. So it starts with trying to run 3 miles, and then you get up to five, and then the first time you do a marathon, you realize like I have so much more potential in me, and I'm just being a wuss as I'm going through this process. So it's very similar to trading, where like you have to talk yourself through it. So when I used to run a lot, I would talk myself through the runs. Whenever I got tired, I would start calling myself names, and I would push myself, and I would try to be my own coach in those moments. And I would start hearing a voice in my head saying like, "Hey, you've done enough. It's time to take a break. Why don't you call your girl? See if she'll come pick you up. Maybe you gotta go get something to eat. You go have a drink. You've worked hard today. You've already ran 10 miles. You deserve a break." Like these things start to go through your brain. It's the same thing in trading is where you're like, hey man, I'm already up $1,000. Let's just close it. We can walk away for the day. We can go get a nice dinner. I'm a winner. Like look up what a great like your brain does all these crazy things when you're up in profits, and it's why none of us can hold on to our winning trades. Why all of us are so attracted to that idea of like get in and get a 3R and then get out. As soon as you hit the 3R, you just have your preset exit because it's hard to live in that pain of I have paper profits right now, and if I don't close it, the market's going to take it from me. It's very fucking hard. It's very hard. See, like right now, like okay, cool. So I got in this next level, right? So now I'm here. I just you saw me get up to about $450. I got 8 contracts on now. Next one's gonna put me up to 10. You're gonna see a jolt on my money there. So this guy now is 8 contracts, so we're getting 16 times 30. So we now have 16 times 30. So I now have $480 at risk on the board right now, right? Now if this comes back, I lose $480. Do you understand? Like you just saw me get to $450. If this thing now reverses and comes back at me, I'm screwed. I lose $480. In order to trade my trade, I have to be okay with that. I have to be accepting to the idea that that $450 paper profit, that's fine. I'm not trying to make $450. I'm trying to make 25,000. Okay? That's my mindset and that I have to have when I trade. That may not be a good mindset for you. You may say, "Hey, this is how I want to do it." Maybe you have a really good entry that will oftentimes get you $1,000 profit. Maybe that's how it works for you and you don't even want to add. That's fine. Structure your plan to match you. Take things from anyone that you possibly can, but then go test it in the live market, not back testing. Back testing is theory, okay? But go test it in the live market. Now, I have 10 contracts on now. I'm up to $530. Let me go ahead and get on a 10 and then I just want to get to 10. Stop loss, buy stop. Important information here. Whenever you're switching out to one contract like that or to one stop loss, so you don't have all this mess sitting around. Let me just move this so I have an exact line that I want it to go to. Okay, right there. Make sure you put on your new stop first. I once was doing this and I was cleaning it up before I added that one contract or that one line. So I just deleted all my contracts and then the market just spiked against me. It was fucking wild. It was like the second I took off my stop loss, it just it was gone. And I ended up losing like twice as much on the trade as I originally had planned. It was it was weird how as soon as I removed the last one, it was just gone against me. It didn't make any sense. It seemed like my broker was out to get me or whatever the case. And but the point is like in that situation, I would rather have this one on so that it takes me out and puts me in at the same time as it shoots through. You know what I mean? Like I would rather that than it just come through without anything on there and it just runs through me and I lose twice as much. It was a very painful moment. You can see like when I did that, I was up to like $500. Imagine it runs through me and I lose $1,000 in a second. Like it was seconds. Like it was wild. But anyways, so that's my new rule is that because of that situation, I always put it on before I remove the other ones. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of just trail this with $100 with a 55 point stop now, and just let the market kind of do its thing. Now with this too, we've seen how big this push is. This is when you can start getting into things if you want to. Like you can start saying like, hey, I'm willing to take a double bottom now. If I get a double bottom right here, I'm going to run away and exit this trade. I'll usually reserve that for like I got to be up over $1,000. I want to see it break lower, things like that, to where I say like this is still very early in this trade. I don't want to run away yet. Is basically the idea. I've only just begun on this trade. I'm not trying to make $800 today. I'm trying to make 25,000. But again, this is also very difficult to do because if this comes back at me, the pain that I'm going to experience from being up $800 to losing right now, if I left it right where it was at, it would be about $260. Now, if I do the proper 55 point stop loss, pull it down to there. Let me get rid of that red line so it doesn't mess me up later. I hate it when it happens. It drives me crazy. So, okay. So now we can look at that. And that was wrong. That wasn't 250. I think that was $500. So, but now we got, it's $20 a point. So I was mistaken. So 20 times 12.5, we got $250 now. Okay. So now we've entered that zone. This is where we might see a double top start to form or a double bottom start to form. But that's okay. That's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of let this guy go. I'm looking to get to break even now so that I don't lose any money on the trade. That would be ideal. So once I get to this level right here, I can say, okay, I'm at break even. I'm going to put a little yellow line there. Boop. Right there. And then I'll be at break even. Now, this is a very big pullback. So I'm not going to implement that plan that I usually do. But what I'll do is as soon as it breaks and goes lower, I will do a measurement of that. And then I shouldn't break that plan though. I should stick with it. But man, that's going to be a huge stop loss at that point. But that's what I should do. I should be looking at a 110 point stop to accommodate for the next pullback. But you can see how crazy that's going to end up being. In order for me to get to break even on that, it needs to move all the way down here. So I need a lot of movement to make that happen. However, that is supposed to be my plan, and that's what I should stick with. If I don't stick with that, the next pullback may end up getting me. You have to be really careful with these things that you learn throughout the market to where like here I don't want to do that because of how badly that will affect my overall trade. I don't want to do it, but I should do it. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. They say Paul Tudor Jones, baby. First rule of trading is follow your plan. Second rule is know when to break your plan, you know? So um, one exit strategy I do use at times though is that if I do have a large amount of money on the board and I'm looking to get out, like whatever the reason, other ones have reversed or whatever the case, whatever my reasoning, if I'm like, hey, I got the bad juju going on, I need to get out of this trade. What I'll do is I'll switch to my 15-second and then I'll start basing my stop loss off of that. The way that I do that is I say on every break I look for the previous. So in this case, I would say where did the break come from? It came. This is the high of the previous move. So I'd go above that, and I would say half an ATR just above that. So my ATR is not there. Let me get that going here. Yeah. So I would just do a half a ATR, never less than 5 though. And it looks like we're gonna be at about 8, so 4. So I would just do 5 above. So I would put my stop loss, ooh, come on. I'd put my stop loss 5 above here. So you can see I would lock in some profits right now if I did that. And then once this guy breaks, I'm going to move my stop loss down to here and be 5 above here. So I'd lock in more profits. And I would just do that. Then I would also add every time it closes lower. So each time it closes lower, I basically make this a worse trade if it comes back. So if it goes, it's a better trade. If it comes back, it's a worse trade. So that's how it is. But that's what I have had to do sometimes when I'm like, got $2,000 on the board or something, and I can feel the market starting to shift. That's what I do to avoid giving it all back. But I have to be really, really careful with that because I'm constantly scared that I'm going to give it all back. So yeah, it's a very delicate balance. It's like when I'm out running, if I really do have something wrong and I push through it, I create more problems for myself. So you kind of have to find that balance of listening to yourself while also um, being logical and not listening to that voice in your head. If that makes sense. Let me just say, is there anything better than this? I mean, for reals. Like, I know I'm up right now, but when I'm losing, I love it. Like, I just love it at all times. Ooh, look at this guy coming out of here. Like, it's. I can't I can't imagine going back to an office and sitting there in my cubicle talking to customers and, trying to win them over to buy it or to pay their bill or whatever bullshit fucking task I'm trying to do when I'm manipulating this person to like me so that they'll do whatever it is that I want them to do. It's man, I don't ever want to do it again. I really don't. This is the greatest thing in the world to me. And if you don't love it like that, if you don't love losing at it, I'm sorry to tell you, my friend, I doubt that you're going to get anywhere with it. I think really the key is that you have to absolutely love this because, I've been losing for 8 fucking years. Like, it's been a long, hard road, but I have loved every single minute of it. I've changed who I am so that I can become a better trader. If I just fixed my over aggressiveness, that would be great, but I haven't been able to fix that yet. So until then, I use it as my superpower. That's how I make the money. That's how I make the money. I don't know why I turned Italian, but this is what I do when I'm sitting here by myself for hours and hours and trading. I just come up with accents and it's very, very, very terrible, maybe offensive accents, but that's what I do. That's who I am. So there's a peek into what a weirdo I am. So you can see we're almost to the break even line. And then you got to figure we started out with 5 contracts. We'll now be at break even with 10 contracts on. We're already up $1,000. Every point that moves, I get another 20 points, like or $20. It's this is what a good trade looks like. This is the structure of it. And again, if I felt like I wanted to buy it, like if I felt like the market was going to go the other way, I would have just switched to a different pair that gave me that possibility. So if I look at um, how he came down like that, I never finished explaining this earlier. He came down like that. Same with the S&P. You can see the Dow though had his issues to where when he came down, he came down in legs and then he got above there. So he broke that area. So this is now S&R for this buying leg. However, this guy did not do an ABC, so it's a little bit touchy. I'll sometimes use that as the break, but the Russ would probably be a better example of doing that because this had the double bottom. So I would have, yeah, it's not quite a double bottom. It is now right there without confirmation, um, but that one's a little bit iffy. But this one had a, yeah, it's not as good as I thought it was. Now that I'm actually analyzing it, but that would still be a potential buy if I really wanted to. But again, it doesn't have my ABCV that I want before I'll change before I'll change which way I'm going. So It didn't have it, but that's something that I'll do if I feel like it's a buy. I'll switch to the whichever one looks like they're the best buy, and then the hope is that I'm catching the leader of the buys. So now we have the 10 on. We can get to break even a little bit better than that if I just stick with that 55 at this point. Um, so now I can lock in profits and I can say, okay, I'm good to go now. Do I want to extend it to the 110? I don't know. That's a huge stop loss for it's like 4 times what my ATR is right now. That is a massive stop loss. So I don't know that I'm going to do that. I'll probably just keep it at the 55, but I don't want to start adding again until I'm out of this area. Um, the point is like I don't want to put myself in a worse situation where if it starts to head back, it's going to start it's going to take more money from me because now I'm adding so far away. So this is a very, very important part that like when you first start adding contracts, there's an uncomfortableness to it because it can be very expensive to add. Let's say I added one contract right down here, to where right now I'm up like 20. Let's see, I'm up 20 times 9, so 180 bucks, right? So I'm up 180 bucks right now. If I add one contract right here and then I keep my stop loss in that same spot, let's say I added it right there, that's going to be $2 coming all the way back. Do you see that balance? There's 106 or $120 approximately that's going to cost me. So therefore, I take a $180 profit and I turn it into a $60 profit because I added one. So if I'm going to add one, I don't want to add it in an area that's likely to get a rejection, right? Like I'm in the zone of rejection. Like this is not a good place to add, right? I want to wait. Now, the longer I wait, the bigger effect that add-on has. So if I wait till it gets down here, so let me put this into perspective. So let's say I was adding, let's just say 5 contracts, right? Like half of what I have on there. Let's say I was adding 5 right here. Okay, that would move my stop loss approximately about right here. So you can see like if I added 10, it would split it. So if you add 5, it's going to put it here, but I always go just a little bit worse. Whichever way you're going, just go a little bit worse, and you'll usually be on. It's my fib tool. I've adjusted it. Maybe I make a video about that, about how to back test with adding. This tool really helps a lot with that idea. But anyway, so if I was going to add 5 contracts, so that would be 10, this would be 5, so a little bit worse. So this would be where my new break-even line is, okay? So that's where that would end up being. Now, if instead I doubled it, my break-even line is going to be about right here. Do you see that difference? Like how drastic that is? Now, if I only add 2, you would say 10 right here, you'd say 5 right here, so 2 is going to be about where my stop loss is. So you can see how badly that affects it. Now, let's just get back to the example of the 5. Okay, so I added 5 right here, or if I added 5 right here, that's where it would put my break-even line. Okay, now if I go all the way down here and I add my 5 down here, now my break-even line's all the way gonna be even worse. Ah, what am I doing? I messed it all up. Now my break-even line's gonna. Oh my gosh! See, this is why I hate having the lines that are close together like that. Pull that down. Now it's going to be closer to like this. So you can see there's a big difference in that. When you think about like now it's going to pull back, that's a huge difference in profits when you really break that down. So the earlier you can add, the better. That's why a lot of people when they're adding, they have their set and they just add and they don't care about levels. They don't care about any of that stuff. They'll just add. I can't help it. I'm already risking a large portion because I only have I can only lose $4,500 before they close my account. So I have to be a little bit more conscious of how much money I lose and give back and all that kind of stuff. And so yeah, so I have to be a little bit more careful. If I had a flat $25,000 account that I could lose 25,000 on, I would definitely be just adding, because I see the value in how big that trade can really get, versus trying to protect because I have a small amount of capital. That's why when I see those guys talking about like, oh yeah, you can open an account with $100 and then you can turn that into $1 million. Fuck off! Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, sorry, I get angry whenever I start thinking about it because the amount of time that I've lost in my life because of these jokers, pretending like they're real traders and they're just content creators. It, I used to look at it like they're trying to make a living as content creators. Yeah, they're lying, but they're trying to make money, and whatever your job is, if you're a content creator, that's your point, is to try to create content that people want to watch and people are watching it. But what you're doing is you're stealing people's dreams. Because people all of a sudden say, hey, I want to get into trading, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to focus on this. And they work hard on it and everyone tells them you're stupid and then for even trying it. And then they start trying and they start losing money and they start buying courses and they're doing all this stuff and they've lost 2 years of their life. And then they go, I'm obviously too stupid to trade. And so they quit. Everyone around them gets to say, yeah, I told you so. And now they're not going to go after that next idea that they had. Not only are they no longer chasing the dream of being a trader, but they're going to be afraid to chase their next idea. And that's such a sad thing that you're making content that hurts people in that way. It's disgusting. Like, is that how you want to make money? Is being a fake personality online? You're like one of those preachers that are taking money from old people on Social Security because you want to get a nicer car. Like, what the fuck are you doing, man? It gets disgusting. Anyways, that's my rant. Okay, so it's going good. It looks really good. So, if it starts to get lower here, and I do have correlation across the board, everyone's still going. So I'm going to start adding two here in a moment. Um, I'm pretty much just going to get this going here right now, as a matter of fact. So let's go ahead and start doing it. So we're going to stick with the 220 for now. I may end up changing that in a little bit, but that's what I'm going to do for now. I want it to be a little bit lower so that it has to actually like move through in a strong way. So about right there, that seems good. Um, what was it? 220, I think. Is that right? Yeah, 220. Okay, perfect. So, okay. So, sell. Okay. And then I will add two more right here. So see, you can see that I'm now adding two every time because we have 10 on. So the movement now, part of the reason why I do it the way I do it is because of how it affects my overall balance. So when I'm adding two now, my balance is going to be very different. So let me just get this one completed. So when we say it's going to move, how many points? 11 points. If I have that on there, when it moves 11 points, that's going to be $220. And then when I do this add-on, it's going to add $220 to my risk. So essentially, what I'm doing right now is I'm keeping the same on my risk, to where I'm not benefiting from it yet. But the benefits come long term. But I'm not benefiting from it yet because every time I add, I'm taking away what little profits I've made on that 11 points that it moved in my favor, if that makes sense. Um, okay, so this time I'm only going to add one, and that'll lock in the profits. It'll also get me to that weird arbitrary number that I love, which is 15, right? So I like getting to 10. That's my favorite. Once I'm at 10, then I want to get to 15. And so I just add to get myself to 15. That's essentially what I'm doing. Now, sometimes I'll just leave this alone. I won't move my stop loss until my next add-on. But right now it's feeling an awful lot like we are still in the danger zone of being rejected. So I want to just go ahead and lock in more profits. So so just to kind of keep this going to show you what this feels like, I now have $20 a point. We got about 30 points, so it's about $600 that I've locked in. You can see that right now I'm at about $1,600. So in order for me to lock in $600, I have to give the market back 1,000. That is a very terrible ratio. Okay, like let's be really clear about that. That's fucking awful. Like that is a terrible, terrible thing to do. However, if I want to catch the move that goes 600 points, that goes all day like that, that's what I have to be willing to do. I have to be willing to say I'm not trying to make $1,500. I'm trying to make $25,000. I'm trying to make 10,000 or 12,000. Um, that's just the mindset that I have to trade the way that I trade. That's why once again, you cannot learn how to trade from a course because the person that's teaching you that course is a different person than you. They built their strategy based off of what they see, their experiences, their aggression, their patience, all that stuff. I have zero patience. I am a very, very impatient person, and that's why I'm down on the 15 second because then my aggression becomes a benefit, if that makes sense. Now here's the scary part, okay? We came down here, we poked lower, We did not get lower. We now have a double bottom. I'm going to actually close this trade right now. I already have a double bottom confirmed. So I close the trade and I walk away. So as I'm talking about, like, no, you got to keep holding, you got to keep doing it. You also have to be intelligent at the same time. And what happened there was that we have this big, huge pullback, right? Big, scary pullback. He comes down here, he hits the bottom and puts in the double bottom. I'm like, man, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and walk away. Now, here's the trick, okay? If you stay in that and this explodes through, that's where you make a lot of money. Because now I'm up to 20 contracts, right? If it goes through and it say makes another 100 points, I now add $2,000. I was at 15, now I'm at 2,000. Plus, by the time I get done adding, by the time I get to 100, that may be 3,000. So it's very hard for me to walk away there and to say I'm gonna walk away. But my rule is that if I'm over $1,000 and I have a double bottom, I'm supposed to walk away. That's my rule. I followed it this time. Sometimes I don't, but this time I did. So the other part to this too is that when I ran away right there, I also have permission to take the next entry because it's already went lower, right? So now I can say, well, it poked lower, and then it's pulling back from there. So now I can try to take it on the next leg. So there I walked away with, you can see I walked away with $1,300. Um, Now, if I end up taking a trade and I lose 500, I still have made 800 overall. So I can still get back into this trade. I can still try to take it. I would do the same stop loss of 55 points wherever I get in. And that way it's almost like if it would have if I get in and it comes back and hits me, it would have hit my other trade and I would have walked away with less money. I would have you saw it like around 400 or was it 600? I can't remember. Doesn't really matter. But overall, I believe I'd be more profitable this way. Now, if I get it back in and it goes, I'm going to be less profitable. And that's going to be really, really hard on me. And this is where my strategy fits me so well is that missing this next leg is without the 20 contracts on is going to haunt me. So I'm going to have a really hard time next time I have a small double top like that. I'm going to have a hard time walking away. Because now my brain's going to be fixated on I did that last time and it fucked me, right? I could have made $10,000 today, but no, I ran away like a little girl. And that's what happens in our brains, right? And so you have to remember that that once again, you have to trade based on you, not on a course that you learn. You have to trade from you. So what I want you to do, if you want to take any advice from me at all, it's take pieces that you like from my idea, take pieces that you like from other people, maybe courses that you bought, entries, whatever. Take all those pieces and then sit down with a demo account in front of the market and just trade it, right? Just trade it. If you want to try adding, just start trying it and feel the pain of it. I'll make a video here on how to do back testing with the Fibonacci to do it. But again, the only way that you're ever going to become a good trader is to sit down in front of the market and to trade. Do it without a plan, do it with a plan, it doesn't matter, just trade. And you'll start to develop your own thoughts and your own plan and your own vision of the market. You can use your patience or your aggression as your superpower. But just remember, you as an individual, you have a superpower that will make you a great trader. I don't know what that superpower is. Maybe you have superior pattern recognition. Maybe you have aggression like I have aggression. Maybe you have the ability to suffer. Aggression and suffering is my superpowers. Those are the things that I'm very good at because of the time I've spent suffering, right? So just find your superpower. And once you do, exploit it so that you can make a lot of money in the markets. Until then, you're just going to be like everyone else that's trying to get their little profits and run away, and hopefully you can make some more money. So you can see right here, that would be another entry. I'm just going to go ahead and call this good and walk away for the day. But and plus I'm going to, even though I'm on a demo, I can already feel my blood boiling that I ran away like a little girl. And I immediately said, you're going to be a bitch all your life as soon as I saw that candle. Like in my brain, I said, that's what I said to myself, is you're going to be a bitch all your life. And this is the torture of trading, right? And it's awful and it's wonderful all at the same time. It's beautiful, and if it's magic. Anyways, yeah, I hope you guys are doing good. If you guys are trading today, I hope you're making some money. And like I always say, man, let's just get better. Let's get better together. Thanks for checking it out.